Hey everybody, welcome to KM Reviews. I am Nettleman. Today I'm bringing you a spoiler-free review for War for the Planet of the Apes. Now I got to see this Wednesday night. I was surprised because I thought the tickets wouldn't come out Thursday, but I got there and it turned out I was seeing a triple feature. I watched all three Apes movies right in a row. Kind of took a lot for my brain to handle, but it was actually really cool to see all three of these movies together. And I'll say this, I'm not going to review the first two movies because I'm sure you've already seen those. But watching all three of these together made me realize this trilogy is one of the most epic trilogies we have. I mean, there's a lot of movies where we're lucky if the first movie's good. The second movie is rarely good, let alone the third movie. But all three of these movies are amazing. Now, I'm going to give you my rating for this movie right off the bat. And if you want to know why I gave it that rating, go ahead and stick around and find out why. I'm going to give War for the Planet of the Apes girlfriend material. This movie is awesome, but it's not perfect. So I'm going to kind of go over the plot to this movie. I'll try to keep that kind of quick. Then I'll go over the pros and then the con of this movie for me. I'll try to keep the story a little bit short. You kind of get the idea from the trailers, but it's the third in the franchise. It concludes everything. It's also kind of the prequel in a way to the original Planet of the Apes movies. Now, I will say this kind of reminds me of Star Wars Episode 3 in a way, where, not in terms of quality, obviously these movies are way better, but we don't really ever see the war for the Planet of the Apes. The war has already kind of been going on, and this movie takes place a couple years after Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and this is kind of after the culmination of a bunch of fighting that's already happened. In this movie, don't go into it expecting a war. Go into it expecting almost more of an aftermath of war and kind of how it's affecting a lot of these characters, both the humans and the apes, and it's really kind of just the final confrontation. And even as you saw in the original Planet of the Apes in the frickin' 1968 or whatever year it came out, where the Statue of Liberty is all blown up and apes are talking about how humans did this to themselves, there's also human-to-human conflict in this movie. But really there's not a war in this movie. There are little battle sequences, but just a disclaimer, this is not a war movie by any means. This is really a story about Caesar, and that's where I start getting into my pros. This movie focuses on Caesar a lot, and all three of these movies, especially watching them all together the way I did, you really see this amazing character arc of Caesar going from this really innocent ape, childlike thing growing into this war-fighting hero, father guy, and he's just such an amazing character. And Andy Serkis does an amazing job acting him out. They do such good jobs at creating emotion with these apes that you can just really feel for them. There's a lot of heartfelt moments in this movie where it just tugs at your heartstrings, way more than a normal animated movie would. The CG is so realistic, and watching all three in a row, you see how much they improve each time. And honestly, the CG in this one's even better than the last one. And it's just when they do these close-ups of their eyes and you just see their tears welling up and different things, it's just, oh man, A+ for that stuff. But you guys, while the story is amazing overall and the acting is very good and the special effects are good and overall this movie is very good and it's a good satisfying conclusion to a trilogy, it's not perfect. And I gotta say, the biggest thing that tears this movie down for me a little bit is the third act showdown. You know, you obviously know it's leading up to a big culmination of some tension, so to speak. I was a little let down by that third act. The first two acts of this movie really built it up for me. The first two movies, and then the first two acts for this. And then the way they kind of conclude was just a little bit of a letdown for me, where I was just kind of like, oh, I guess that's it. And it seemed very convenient. A couple of the things that happened, I was like, well, that's very convenient. You'll know what I mean when you see it, because I'm not spoiling anything, but there's just a couple of events that take place where you're like, oh, okay, that's it, I guess. That was really lucky. You know what I mean? And it was just also the character of Woody Harrelson was really disappointing to me because he does such a good job acting, and I really loved his character in this movie that they didn't utilize him enough or well enough. And then the way his character arc goes, again, I love the first two acts of this movie, but where his character goes in the third act, I was like, really? That's it? I don't know. I just felt like this movie tried to wrap it up in a very convenient way that didn't seem like it was deserved with the way that it was built up over this whole franchise. So I was a little bit disappointed, but honestly, that's being very nitpicky. Because at the end of the day, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I will say I liked Dawn of the Planet of the Apes a little bit better as an overall movie. But again, this whole trilogy is amazing. War for the Planet of the Apes is probably the best movie that's in the theater right now if you haven't already seen Spider-Man. It's definitely worth checking out. I saw it in 3D. I don't think you necessarily need to see it in 3D. But it's definitely a good movie-going experience. Go check it out this weekend. Let me know what you think of this epic finale in the comments below. Were you satisfied with it? Were you a little disappointed with it? Do you think they're going to do another one where they kind of recreate the original Planet of the Apes? I kind of want to see them do that because they did introduce the spaceship launch and the Lost in Space thing in the first one. When I rewatched it, I kind of forgot about that. So it'd be kind of interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, guys, that's about all I have to say. So make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter @Niddleman, and also stay tuned for more movie reviews if you can handle it. Go.